Okay, welcome everyone. As we learn the segment called for the Shabbos table, and this segment is made possible by the Reuben family. We thank the Reuben family, wish them that they should have Hatzlacha with Ruchnius and Gashmius, and they have a special request that we should be mispal, that they should be Zeicha to a healthy Ben Zachar, Kain Hiratzin. In this week's Parsha, we learned the Ten Commandments, and one of the questions that they ask about the Ten Commandments is that it's not symmetrical. The first luchas about Bein Adam L'Makam starts first with mitzvahs of the mind, to believe in Hashem, Anochi Hashem Elikecha. Then it goes to mitzvahs of the mouth, Lo Yisisa Shem Hashem Elikecha L'Ashav. And then it goes to Meisim, keep the Shabbos, honor parents. The other luchas, Bein Adam L'Chaveiroi, starts with action, Lo Yisirtzach Lo Yisinaf. Then it goes to speech, Lo Yisana B'Reacha Eichakar. And then it goes to the mind, Lo Yisachmai, you shouldn't be jealous. So it's the opposite. Why is that? So the Mefarshim say a beautiful pshat. They say when it comes to our relationship with the Rebbeinu Shalom, there are people that say, you know, it's enough if I have a Yiddish heart. That's the main thing, you know. The other stuff, it's not important. The Rebbeinu Shalom knows what's in my heart. So Rebbeinu Shalom says, no, you have to start with the heart and belief in Hashem. You got to go to the mouth, and then you have to even do actions. When it comes to Bein Adam L'Chaveir, it's just the opposite. People say, as long as I don't hit him, sticks and stones can break bones. But names and what I think, that's nobody's business. No, says the Rebbeinu Shalom. Action, Leisirtzach, Leisinaf, but even speech, Leisana B'Reach Eichaka, and even what you have in your mind, Leisachmoid. As a matter of fact, the Torah is the only code of laws that practices mind control. You know, the Constitution of the United States, parliamentary procedures, they tell you what you could do, what you can't do. But nobody tells you what you have in your mind. But the Rebbeinu Shalom says, a Yid, I also tell him, he's not allowed to hate. I tell him, he has to love. I tell him, loisitar. He can't have a grudge. He can't remember, oh, so-and-so did this to me. That's, the Rebbeinu Shalom wants us not only what we do, not only what we say, but even what we think. And that's why it says, Kedoshim Tiyu. We should be holy. Because that holy means in and out, through and through. That's only by Yiddishkeit. Sheishes Yomim Tavoid, 6 days you should work, V'asisa kol malachtecha, and you should do all your work. Now, okay, Rashi tells us the reason why it emphasizes V'asisa kol malachtecha is that when Shabbos comes, it should be as if all your work is done. You shouldn't have on your mind any unfinished business. Shabbos is supposed to be me'ein olam haba. Just like in olam haba, there's not going to be any gashmiistic worries. You're not going to think about unfinished jobs and the demands of the clients and bills to be paid. So when Shabbos comes, it's supposed to be an oasis. It's supposed to be a time free of these thinking thoughts. You should make it as if everything is done. That's the way Rashi learns. But in Avos de Rab Nosson, if you want to look it up, it's Avos de Rab Nosson Yud Aleph. In Avos de Rab Nosson it says, Lahavi mi sheyesh lo chatzeros oisados charevos. Besides his house, he owns other courtyards or fields that are in ruins. Yelech v'yasik behem. Let him make himself busy with them. Mipnei she'ein adam meis ela mitoicha batala. A person only dies when they're not busy. Listen to what it says in Avos Rab Nasan. V'asisa kol malachtecha. Do whatever you have to work. But don't be idle. Don't be sitting there doing nothing. Even if you have to fix a rune that you don't need, but be busy. Because ein adam meis ela mitoicha batala. You know, there's a saying that the world says that people retire, they go down to Florida in first class, and then 3 months later they come back in cargo. The bodies are put in cargo. Because people that they stopped working, they go crazy. The Gemara tells us, Gedoyla melacha shemechabedes es baila. Great is work, it brings honor to the one who does it. In Kiddush, Friday night, we say, Asher bara Elokim lasos, which the Mefarshim explain, Hashem created lasos, for a person to be productive, for a person to do. When a person retires, they're in danger. They're in danger. They're used to doing, and now they're not doing. So in Avos Rab Nasan says that this could be lethal. It could be dangerous. Ein adam meis ela mitoicha batala. We know in Ksuvas, it says that even if a woman brings in 100 servants, the husband could still demand that his wife do something with the wool. She'abatola mivia lidei shi'amun. Because being idle leads to depression. Now this is a little bit counterintuitive, because most people think their whole life they have to work. Now they don't have to work. It's gewaldic. But it's not gewaldic. The mind was not meant to be without anything. Now, if a person is on the madrega, then they don't have any problem at all. Because Hashem says, I gave you what to do. Lo yomish ha-Torah hazeh mepicha, v'gisa b'yoyman v'loyla. You should meditate in it day and night. So if a person has the ability to be busy with learning, they have no problem whatsoever. And there's what to be busy with. And Chazal recommend us, Ein adam loimed ala masha libay chafetz. Let him find what his heart desires. There are some people that have a bent towards halacha. They want to know what to do. So what's the halacha? And they like to read the Shalos Tshuvas Svarim to see what the great poskim, how they decided halachas, and the different ways. How did the Divrei Chaim decide halacha? How did Rabbi Kiva Eger in the Tshuvas decide halacha? There are other people that are big thinkers, and they like to see Reb Tzadok HaKohen and the Pachad Yitzchak from Rav Hutner. There are other people that like drush. It's exciting drush. So if a person could be busy with Torah, now that's for sure the best thing, because ein simcha k'simchas haTorah. There's no joy like the joy of Torah. That's the fact. That's why an aval is not allowed to learn Torah, because pikudei Hashem yishar misam chelei. So if a person could be busy with Torah, then there's no problem at all. But there are other things. And by the way, there are people that don't know. There are things that you could do to help yourself be busy with this. You know, Ura has an organization called Torah Mates, where they hook you up with a person who is very hungry to learn and doesn't know anything. So you could sit with him and introduce him to Bereshis, introduce him to Shabbos, and people find this very rewarding and very fulfilling, and then they become very good friends. Ura has such an organization. There's another famous organization, Partners in Torah. Then there are people who get busy with their grandchildren. It's a wonderful thing to be busy with grandchildren. Chazam Sofer says you get busy with grandchildren, you live longer. Because it says, well, Yisircha Hashem b'fri bitnecha. Hashem will give you extra because of the fruit of your belly. Hashem sees that you're providing for your grandchildren. You're letting them know about the Altaheim. You're letting them know they see a crazy world. And you're telling them, you know what it used to be? You know what it used to be? It used to be that if you saw an Adam Gadol, you watched every single thing that he did. And it made an impression upon you. You talked to them about what you saw. That's also a big thing to do. It's also a way to keep busy. But a person has to know, that's why it says, a person has to know, Ein Adam Meis Elam Eteicha Batala. It's good to know this. Al Kein Berach Hashem Es Yom HaShabbos Vayikacheyu. We say this in our Kiddush Rabbah. Vayikacheyu. He sanctified the Shabbos. The gematria of Vayikachehu is exactly 431. It's easy to figure out because Vav and Dalet of Vayikachehu is 10, the Yud is 10 is 20, the Kuf is 100, that's 120, the Shin is 300, so that's 420, and Hey and Vav is 11, that's 431. Is the same gematria as a very well-known name of Hashem. Now it's a very well-known, but anybody that pays attention to the Mauser on Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, so if you know in Kedusha, on the bottom, when everybody is saying Aye, Mekoim Kavod, it gives you on the bottom a choice. You could daven for good children, you could daven for Ruach HaKodesh, or you could daven to become rich. It's on the bottom. It has three choices. And if you daven to become rich, it gives a name of Hashem. There's a special shame of Hashem for Parnasa. It's the shame Dei Karnusa. Well, you figured it out. Dei Karnusa is exactly 431. Like Kacheyu is 431, and Dei Karnusa is 431. Because all Parnasa comes from Shabbos. Shabbos is the Mekara Bracha. If a person keeps the Shabbos correctly, it helps for the Parnasa of the whole week. That's why it's called Mekara Bracha. V'yom hashvi Shabbos la'Hashem Elikecha. And the seventh day is Shabbos la'Hashem Elikecha, to Hashem your God. What does that mean? That Shabbos la'Hashem. It's a Shabbos for us. Hashem doesn't need rest. So what does it mean? V'yom hashvi Shabbos la'Hashem Elikecha. So the Chinuch, the Sefer HaChinuch says that it means that the purpose of Shabbos is to recognize Hashem Elikecha. Shabbos is a day that when we rest once a week, we remember that the world wasn't always here. It didn't come from a big bang. It didn't evolve over millions of years. Hashem worked 6 days and rested on the seventh. So Yom HaShvi LaHashem Elikecha makes us realize Hashem Elikecha, that there's Hashem. That's the purpose of Shabbos. That's the way the Chinuch explains it. That's the way the Mincha Blula explains it. Comes along the Orach Chaim HaKadosh, and the Orach Chaim HaKadosh says, V'yom hashvi Shabbos LaHashem Elikecha means that don't make Shabbos vacation day. Yom hashvi Shabbos LaHashem Elikecha, it's for Hashem. It's a day, he says, not for your menucha, but a day for the mitzvahs Hashem Elikecha. To learn on Shabbos, to daven slower on Shabbos. That's a very big thing. You know, the whole week we're so fayukt. People go to the Amid in shuls, and they daven so fast, it sounds like they're being chased by somebody. It sounds like an enemy is chasing them. The week we're very busy. People have to run, they have to catch buses, they have to get to punch in a clock, they have to do all kinds of things. But Shabbos, we have time. Mizmar Shir L'Yom HaShabbos. What's the Mizmar Shir L'Yom HaShabbos? Tov L'Haidos L'Hashem. Today is good to thank Hashem. We're not in a rush. That's why the Pesukah de Zimrei is longer on Shabbos. Right? The Shemoneh Esrei is shorter because we don't say all the middle brachas because we're not supposed to think we need this, we need that. We're not supposed to be fayukt. We're not supposed to think of problems that we need refuah, we need geula, we need. But when it comes to the shvachas of Hashem, Pesukah de Zimrei is more longer because there's more time on Shabbos. Tov L'Haidos L'Hashem U'Lezamet. Says the Orach Chaim HaKadosh. That's the meaning of Yom HaShvi Shabbos L'Hashem Elikecha. This is a day. Don't waste it just on an off day. An off day is a day for you. This is a day for the Rabbeinu Shalom, like the Sifurnai. Sifurnai makes it even more outright. He says it's a day lil moidul alamed lishma v'lasais, to learn, to teach, to keep the mitzvahs. The Ben Ish Chai, it's a bavus the Ben Ish Chai. The Ben Ish Chai says 1 hour of learning on Shabbos is equal to 1,000 hours of learning during the week. That's the value of Shabbos. You know, it's sad. My Rebbetzin told me that there are people in her profession, therapists, psychologists, that go to seminars for their specialties on Shabbos. They ask a shayla, they go, and they make sure not to go through any doors that have electric eyes, and they don't, of course, chas v'shalom, they don't write notes, and they just listen and learn. Now, while it might be halachically okay, but is that the spirit of Shabbos? The spirit of Shabbos is imtoshiv mishabbos reglecha. If you withhold on your Shabbos your feet, asoyis kavatzecha b'yom kachi, doing your pursuits on my holy day. That's not what Shabbos is for. It's not mimtzoi chefzecha, from pursuing your pursuits v'daber davar, and speaking the way you speak during the week. That's not what Shabbos is. Shabbos is a day for Hashem. The Ibn Ezra, he speaks so eloquent. He says on Shabbos yesh zman lihisboided ala Kadosh Baruch Hu, to meditate about Hashem. We don't have time the whole week to think about Hashem. I'm going to tell you an interesting thing. Life is always a tug of war. Life is always a fight between the neshama, the ruchnius, and the guf, the chamrius, that which is more material, that which is more base. And it's always, each one is pulling. The neshama says, I could learn a little bit, I could do a chesed. The guf says, let's go eat, let's go drink, let's go have a nice time, let's go. It's a tug of war. It's a pulling. And that's what life is all about. Shabbos is a day when the neshama is stronger than the guf, because we have a neshama yisera. It's a gift that everybody neshama gives us. He gives us that gift that on Shabbos we should win this war. In the week we might lose a lot, and the guf wants me to sleep, and the guf wants me to go out, and the guf wants me to do this, and the guf wants me to do that. But on Shabbos, the neshama is stronger. And that's Shvi L'Hashem Elikech. That's why we don't just sit by the meal and eat. We sing Zmiras. You sing Zmiras. That uplifts the meal. Kol Ribono Shel Olam b'Yomaya. Right? Yom Zeh Mechubad Mikol Yomim. We're uplifting. We're making it neshamadik. That's Shvi L'Hashem Elikech. even a person should pay more attention to the mezuzah on Shabbos. Make a point. On Shabbos, we don't pay much attention to the mezuzah, but the mezuzah, as the Rambam says, is a reminder. You look at it and you remember that Hashem is in the room and He's watching you. So make it a point on Shabbos to be more attentive to the mezuzah. You know, mezuzah, they say mezuzah stands for, mezuzah is the same letters as zuzma. What's money? On Shabbos, when we're not asking money, we could say, is life all about money? Is that the whole success of life? I think there's another meaning to Hashvi Shabbos LaHashem Elikecha. There's another meaning. Because we know that the lighting of the candles at the beginning of Shabbos, the woman sets the tone, the licht stand for Shalom Bayis. Because we know that the Gemara says if you only have money for Kiddush or candles, you spend it on the candles. Because Shalom Bayis Odif Tvei. When the Shalom Bayis, Ish v'Isha Shalom Beinayim, Shchina Shriya Beinayim. Then you have Hashem Elikecha. Yom HaShvi Shabbos Hashem Elikecha. On Shabbos, it's a time to work on Shalom Bayis. That's why it's brought down that Shamru B'nai Yisrael Es Shabbos, the Rosh, well, the Aviyah Rishonim, says B'nai Yisrael Es Shabbos is Rosh Tevis Biyah. Because Shabbos is a time for Shalom Bayis. Then, Vashvi LaHashem Elikecha, then the children see it, and the children see it, so then it mamish brings Hashem. I'll tell you something else what Hashvi LaHashem Elikecha stands for. Hashvi LaHashem Elikecha means that on Shabbos you make sure to make extra effort to have 100 brachas. Yom Hashvi Shabbos LaHashem Elikecha. Now, you have to make extra effort. You're missing 18 brachas. Because instead of having 57 of the 3 Shemana Esreis, you only have 28 of the 4 Shemana Esreis. You have to make up 18 brachas. On Shabbos, you need to make it. You do wash and everything. You have to make 18 brachas. So if a person pays attention, and he smells besamim a few times on Shabbos, and he has some nuts and some peanuts and some pretzels and some thing to drink, and he makes a whole bunch of brachas just twice, he's already done. That's also Hashvi LaHashem Elikecha. And then we go to the 5th commandment, Kabed es avicha v'esimecha, honor your father and your mother. The Bayis Neman says Kabed, Chav Beis Dalv is Gematria 26. Why? Because the famous Gemara in Kedushin, Daf Lamed, Bizman she'odam mechabed es aviv v'esimai, when a person honors their father and mother, Hashem says, I consider as if I'm living with you. I'm the third partner. I'm considered like I'm living with you. So Kabed, the Kabed Esavicha Vesimecha brings to Yud Kei Vav Kei, brings that Hashem lives with you. The Panech Raza, who's I quote often over here, is one of the Rishonim. The Panech Raza says that why is Kibbud of Aim put next to Shabbos? Now it's interesting. There is a medrash that says that if you're careful that you don't have your young children do malacha for you, you'll be zeicha that they'll honor you. It's a bad habit that people have. Oh yeah, I left the light on. Bring Chaim Kul. He's only 2 years old. Bring him to the light and let him shut it off. Don't have your little children do malacha for you on Shabbos. It's a medrash. That's why Shabbos is next to Kibbud Av V'Aim. If you don't have your little children do malacha for you on Shabbos, they'll honor you. They'll respect you. It's a good thing to know. But the Panech Raza says something else. The Panech Raza says it puts Kibbud Av V'Aim next to Shabbos to tell you sheshkulin hein. We know Shabbos is shakul k'neged kol haTorah kula. honoring parents is important like keeping Shabbos. And he says that's why it says that when Rivka told when Rivka told Yaakov to bring the matamim to Yitzchak when he would get the brachas, it says matamim 3 times. Keneged the Gimel Sudas, because the 3 times matamim is equal to the Gimel Sudas on Shabbos. Taking care of parents and feeding them and giving them food is equal to the Gimel Sudas on Shabbos. And because we all know Shabbos is Shokul Keneged Kol Torah Kula. That tells you how important Kibbud Avim is. Now it says, Kabedes Avicha Vesimecha, Laman Yarichun Yamecha. It doesn't say Laman Yarichu Yamecha. It says Laman Yarichun. So again, the Panech Raza, again, he's one of the Rishonim. He says Laman Yarichun Yamecha means if you honor your parents, they'll prolong your life. Laman Yarichun is going on your parents. Because if you honor them, they'll pray to Hashem that you should live long, to take care of them. So, Laman Yarichun Yamecha, they will cause you to live long. Very important, by the way. You know, when we talk about Kibbud Avim, a lot of times we talk about the responsibility of children to parents. But parents have to be very careful that if their children hurt them, they should be very careful to be meichel. They don't have to tell them. But they should be very careful to be meichel. You know, Rashi says, L'man yarichin yamecha, Rashi says, Michlal hein ata shemei alav. And if you don't honor them, you won't live long. So Rashi says. If a parent is not meichel, their child could have his life or her life shortened. What parent wants that? And therefore it's very important. As a matter of fact, there's a famous Rabbi Yehuda HaChassid. Rabbi Yehuda HaChassid asks, why was Yaakov punished? Because he didn't fulfill Kibbud Avim for 22 years. Rabbi Yehuda HaChassid said, for sure, Yitzchak forgave him. What parent is not going to, what thinking parent is not going to forgive a child? Who wants their child to be punished because of that? It says in the later on, Lo Sinaf. So, Lo Sinaf is not to commit adultery, is a corruption of 2 words, Tain Af. It shouldn't be a cause of anger, because we know that if a woman commits adultery, she becomes forbidden to her husband. So that causes an anger. It causes them to be forbidden. It's interesting, but it's brought down in the Rishonim that lo tein af, you shouldn't cause anger, that somebody shouldn't put a kishif, sorcery, on the husband that he shouldn't be able to be intimate with his wife. Isn't that interesting? It's enough that a person shouldn't use sorcery, that the husband shouldn't be able to pleasure his wife. Because if he does, it's going to cause them to be angry with each other. Because if they're not intimate with each other, then there's anger. That's what I told you, that the word bia, intimacy, is the same letters as ava, enmity. Because if the bia is missing, there's enmity. I cannot emphasize enough how important this is. I hear about young couples and they're not taking care of their marital responsibilities. I'm tired, I'm too busy. He goes his way, she goes my way, her way. If bia is correct, then it becomes baka. Beis Yud Aleph Hey becomes baka. Because Ishvi Shishon Beineim Shchina Shvi Beineim. But if not, it becomes eva. Okay, this is a short shir, Rabbi Say. I want to take the opportunity to wish both my daughter Esti, my new daughter Esti, and her husband Dovi, Mazel Tov, they just had a baby girl. It should be Zeichel Gadol ben Torah L'chuppah L'maisim Tovim. Wish a Mazel Tov to my Shver and Shviger Danziger. Also Mazel Tov to my daughter, Devora, and her husband, David Rosenberg, on the Boi B'Yom, the Mazel Tov of the Bar Mitzvah of Aaron Tzvi. Should grow up to be a fine young man. Thank you for joining us, and have a wonderful day.